Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Tuesday, the 12th of January, 2016. This is episode 163, Snow Days. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. So this weekend I bought boots, which I haven't done in, I can't even tell you, a decade. My dad bought me a pair of boots when I was in college. So does that count? Because then it would be less than a decade. But he surprised me with them. It's not like I was like, oh, I need boots. And he took me boot shopping. Like he just bought a pair of boots for me because he knew I was a poor college student and he wanted to make sure I had adequate foot coverage, even though I still had a pair of boots. So yeah, I haven't bought boots in a really, really long time. And my friend needed a coat and boots and stuff. So I took her shopping because she doesn't have a vehicle. She's a poorish college student. So I took her and I looked for boots while I was there, and there were 3 pairs that I super liked, but one was not practical. It was, they were like spike heel fashion ankle boots, and I was like, well, I don't really need those. I just kind of want them. And then the other pair that I saw that I really liked were knee-high boots, but they had like a stretchy mesh thing, which is important because I have big feet but really skinny calves. They're all muscle. My calves are extremely muscular, but they're just small muscles. So I thought they would fit, and then they were 3 sizes too small. But they were put in my size section. It was very frustrating. But the boots I got are really cute. And, oh, I have one right next to me. So these are them. I know, super exciting, right? You can see the salt on them. I know you totally came here to see the boots. But anyway, the important thing about the boots is that it was 60 on the day that I bought my boots. And it had been very warm the previous week. And then the next morning, I woke up to, Mom, it's snowing. Can we play outside? And I opened my eyes and I was like, the sun is not up yet. Like it was starting to come up. It was definitely dawn, but it was not, the sun was not up. I said, no, it's too early. So sometime later, the sun was up and I had small humans at the side of my bed. Mom, the sun's up. Can we play in the snow? Yes, just be quiet and don't wake up the neighbors. So they went outside and I rolled out of bed. It was 8:30. I was like, this is way too early. But I got up because I knew that immediately they would need hot chocolate when they came in, and I wanted to make a fire because they were going to be really cold. So we have snow and I'm pretty excited about it. It's not a lot of snow. It's probably like 2.5 inches accumulative, but it's snowed a little bit every day for the past 3 days, and that just makes my heart happy because I love snow so, so much. Anyway, I'm really excited with what people are doing for the gift craft along that we have going on. A lot of people have written lists, and some people have really, really long detailed lists, and some people have really short, vague lists, and some people are in between, and that's awesome. And there are even some finished objects in there already. It's only the 12th day of January. So that's fabulous. I'm pretty excited about it. And I will be over in the chatter thread, hopefully later today, discussing some things. So thank you for participating in that. Yay! I have some finished objects. I have this lovely bit of spinning. It's still wet. I finished plying it 2 days ago and I washed it yesterday. I washed it and thwacked it, but it was hanging overnight, and since it's cold here, it takes a little bit longer to dry. So this end is completely dry, but this was the end that was down, so it's very wet. And I didn't rotate it before I went to sleep, which I normally do to help speed up drying time. Anyway, this is Bits of Color by Three Waters Farm, and it is a silk merino blend. I spun it fractally. So I split it in half and then spun that half all by itself. And then I split the other half into thirds and then spun those end to end. So it's super duper pretty. It's a gray base, and then the bits of color are yellow, red, aqua, and brown. And I went for maximum barber pulling. When I got to the end, I had more of the first half of the braid, the big part that I spun by itself, and I just plied that end together because it was maybe 5 yards of yarn, so I didn't break it like I did when I did Jaws. I don't know the yardage on this yet, but I will put that on Ravelry and maybe in the thread for this later, because I don't measure yardage until it's completely dry. And yeah, it's very pretty, and I like it very much, and I think it makes a lovely cowl. So maybe that's what it will become when it grows up. Who knows? But I like it a lot. It's not all the same weight. It goes from, I think this is like the thinnest strand, so like DK, maybe Sport, to Aran weight. And there are a few places, like 2 or 3 places where it goes to a chunky, but only for, a handful of inches. So I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it's so pretty. I like it so, so much. And it was a really fun spin. It was really fun to do something really quick and dirty and not worry too much about keeping it super consistent. So it's texturally different throughout the yarn, which I like. And I just really, really like the yarn. I also finished these socks for the kid at work. These are Drops Fable in some unknown colorway. It's probably on Ravelry. So you can see it has short cuffs, and it's just 2x2 rib across the top. I didn't match up the stripe sequence. In fact, the stripe sequence is going backwards. There's a tail sticking out. Where are my scissors? I'm going to take care of that right now, maybe. Oh, yes, because my scissors are right on my desk. Cleaned my desk this morning, which means, of course, I can't find anything. So these are finished and blocked, and have a hole in the sock. But it doesn't look like a drop stitch, it looks like a yarn over. So yeah. Anyway, there's a yarn over, which I probably won't fix. He probably won't notice. Whatever. And if he does, then I'll fix it. So I hope these fit, because it's for a new person, and I don't know how his feet are. I've never even seen his feet, so I have no idea. So what else about those? Knit on US size 1, 2.25 millimeter needles. I didn't use a pattern. I did cuff down with ribbing all the way on the back. I did a ribbed heel flap, so it's knit 2, purl 2 across the outside, and then on the inside it's knit 1, slip 1, purl 1, slip 1, or slip 1, knit 1, slip 1, purl 1, whatever. It's the purl, or it's the slip first and then the worked stitch, so that the edge is nice. And then a wedge toe where you decrease every other round. So hopefully they fit. I just made it really basic because, again, he's some kid I work with, so I didn't want to invest everything I had in that. What else? Okay, so works in progress. The elves worked on the advent calendar, so the whole middle section is almost tacked down. There's this much to be tacked down on here, and then just this little section. on the side, and I will have completed that whole strip across widthwise, and then I'll move either up or down, and again work out toward the edges. Or the elves will, whatever. I'm highly distracted today, can you tell? So not only is there snow flurrying out of my window, which I love, but also Gabriel is home from school today. And the reason I didn't record yesterday was because, well, two reasons. One, it snowed, so people couldn't come into work, so I ended up staying at work until about 4 o'clock in the morning. And then, two, school was delayed for 2 hours yesterday, so it just, by the time Gabriel was out the door and everything, I was just like, I was tired and I was flustered, and I was like, recording will be a hot mess today. So even though it's a hot mess today, it would have been worse yesterday. I worked on the Mirla bat, and I'm making pretty good progress on it. I don't have a shot from last week to compare to this week, but I did do the spinning almost every day. I think I missed one day, which is still 60 minutes, which is still an hour, which is my goal. So going strong on that. I have this bit and then just a small chunk left of the bat. So I think this is definitely going to be finished by the end of the month, which was the goal. I worked on the police box blue spinning on my wheel, but very little. I only worked on it 2 days, and then for 5 days I just didn't spin on the wheel because I was gone shopping or with children, doing crazy things yesterday. I don't know. I don't really have a reason why I didn't work on it. It just was, it never got worked on. Just didn't. It didn't get put in the rotation for whatever reason. So I will hopefully be spinning a decent portion today to make up for that, because I really would like it to be finished by Friday. At least plied, so I can take the bobbin and wind it off when I see Josh. If that is my crafty activity when I'm hanging out with Josh, I won't be too angry. But yeah, I would like that to be the singles done, have an overnight rest, and then plied. So I have 2, 4, 6 of the little balls that I made left, plus a small section of a 7th. So that's kind of a lot to do between, well, I mean, I would have to finish those singles tonight, basically, to give them an overnight rest, and then plying Wednesday, Thursday. I guess I could let them just sit Wednesday and do nothing on Thursday but ply. Or, yeah. So that they have time to rest on Friday. I don't know. We'll see. I probably won't get it done, but I'm going to try. And the fiber looks like this. It's beautiful blue Pantone matched to be police box blue. It's a little bit tonal, so it's got lighter bits and really dark bits. It's very enjoyable to spin. It's very pretty. I don't know. I wasn't in a wheel mood last week. I worked on the tumbling block socks, striped socks by Leah Oakley. And before I show them to you, I'm going to, I have a little story. So in the pattern, which is a paid for pattern, she has you move the beginning of round marker. So I did. If you're going to continue the pattern down the front of the foot with, after you do the heel. And I planned to, so I did that. And then I couldn't figure out why you would do that, and the pattern looked weird, so I was trying to work with it and make it work. I decided to do an afterthought heel so I could keep the stripe sequence down the front the same. And it took me a couple tries to like kind of figure out why the pattern would have me do that, although I never really did. And then I was also doing the pattern portion on the top of the foot. Well, I realized that this portion and this portion are knit with the same half of the pattern repeat, because you can see there's half of the pattern repeat slants this way and then the other half slants the other way, whichever the other way is. So this way, and then this one goes this way. I slanted it in the same direction right after the heel. So that green stripe, that was my afterthought heel. So I saw that, and when I first saw the pattern on the front, I was just going to drop back the front of the sock. And then I started picking it up, and I was like, you know what? I don't like that I had to change the beginning of the round. It doesn't make sense to me why I would do that. So I'm just going to take it all the way back to the afterthought heel and take out the yarn, because I shifted the heel, or I shifted the stitches and then put in the heel yarn. So I was like, I'm just going to take it all out, the whole thing out, and restart from the leg of the sock. So I did that on the first one. I took this off the needles, and instead of working them 2 at a time, in case that wasn't going to work, like in case you really needed to shift it by 3 stitches, I didn't want to have to pull out another pattern repeat on 2 socks. So I put the first sock back onto, I'm going to rip this out now that I've shown you. I put the first sock onto a pair of circulars so I can magic loop it, and I finished it yesterday. This happened yesterday. Well, this mess up happened the day before yesterday, and I pulled out the needles and I ripped out on the first sock back to the afterthought heel yarn and put that one back on the needles, and then I was like, okay, done. I'm not gonna knit on it today. I'm just gonna call it good. And that was that. So this was from here down was all knit yesterday. This was where I was last week. So both socks were at this point, at this line right here. But yesterday I knit the entire foot and put my heel in. I actually put this afterthought heel in before I finished the sock. I was probably through these stripes right here into this gray section, and then I was like, okay, I don't know how long I need to make the foot without a heel. So I needed the heel. So I carefully picked out the stitches, put them on the needle so that I could do my afterthought heel, worked my afterthought heel, and then worked the rest of the foot. So this is the first finished sock, and the pattern is really cool. You can see how it manipulates the stripes to look like they really are falling blocks, which I think is just really, really cool. Did I tell you the yarn yet? It's Patton's Croy sock stripes in the spring leaf stripe colorway. Worked on US size 1 2.25 millimeter needles. So the first sock is done, and yesterday morning, because they both had to be, they were both at, you know, the heel placement area, I was kind of worried. I was like, I want to give these to Josh on Friday. I don't know if I'm going to have them finished for Friday. So I was worried, and then I knit half of a sock in a day. Do I think that I'm going to do that again? Probably not. I'm going to start on it a little bit today, but I have another day off before Friday, so it should be easy peasy to get these finished. And this sock is completely finished. Are you proud? I wove in all of the ends for this sock. And there was even a place where I had to do some color management for the sock, because when I pulled out for starting the cuffs, I thought I had pulled out on the same stripe, but I was actually 1 stripe off on this sock. So I had a little ball with the extra stripe, and I fixed that too. I took care of all of that this morning. So this sock is completely finished. All the ends are woven in on the other pair of socks. I'm going to try to keep up with it this year. Try to keep up with weaving in ends. I don't know if that's totally going to happen, but I'm going to try. So yeah, the second sock should be finished by Friday. It shouldn't be a problem. If I have to weave in ends when I'm hanging out with Josh, that will also be fine. mostly I'm going to spend a lot of time spinning over the next few days, but also trying to knit on that. So hopefully that'll be finished. And just an update, in case you haven't looked at the poll results right now, the pink tetrahedron is in the lead. So if you wanted something else and you haven't voted yet for which socks I should knit for myself first, head over to last week's episode thread and find the poll. I probably will not open it until next week on the podcast, but if I finish these socks and I finish the police box blue spinning, I will probably want to start those socks. I do have one more project that was on my list of things to make this month, and they're a pair of leg warmers, so I might start those instead. But if I don't do it on the podcast next week, it will be on the podcast because I will record looking at the poll and which one I open so I can insert it into the podcast before I show you my work in progress. For modular projects, I did another square in my blanket. It is the yarn that I used last week to make my barn raising square. I'm pretty sure it's Madeline Tosh sock in a moss colorway or something. And I'm pretty sure I used it in my string band hat. So that is my square for the week. I'm up to 12. The blanket is slowly growing. I love how the colors are playing. I love that it's all green and blue based, but there are enough squares that have other colors to keep it interesting instead of, I feel like it could go boring, and I don't think it is boring, which is exciting. And I've already picked out my yarn for this week's square. I'm super excited about it. It's actually this yarn right here will be this week's square. So this is Nooch Fiber, the merino nylon base. And I believe that this colorway was fade out. I just like that so, so much. Blue, green, brown. How can you go wrong, right? I used this to make a Josh shawl. I think it was the mystery knit along for last year, but I can't remember for sure. I don't remember which one it was. Maybe glaciation. Did I make glaciation? I don't know. It's on my pattern page, or project page rather. It's on my project page. But I used this for that, and I love this square. This is square number 56. And my blanket is coming along, and I'm pretty excited about it. I haven't started sewing anything together, but, 56 squares, and how many did I say I needed? 270 something? Does that sound right? I think it's about there. I also made hexapuffs. I didn't manage to do one a day this week. I only did 5, but, they're still good. So I have the Madeline Tosh again. And then these are all scrappy bits from things that I got at previous ZKs. So there's this one, which is more of a sport weight, so I used less stitches, a sparkly one, and this is not actually yarn from the ZK. This is yarn from, it's the drops that I just finished the pair of socks with. So I have on my list to make celebratory puffs and also puffs for the days that I missed. So maybe this coming week I'll just have a bunch of hexapuffs. I don't know. It'll depend on how knitting goes. We shall see. But that brings me up to 447 hexapuffs out of 2,000 something. I'm getting there. I'm almost a quarter of the way. I'm going to count 500 as a quarter. I didn't do much reading this week. I read some more Kushiel's Dart, and I listened to, what book am I on in the Dresden Files? Death Masks. So does that mean, yeah, I finished Summer Night and I started Death Masks, but I'm only on chapter 4, so I'm not very far into it. Still enjoying listening to it, but this is exciting, and you guys didn't probably know it was a problem, but my Wi-Fi signal was really awful for a while because earlier, like 4 months ago-ish, maybe, Steve moved the the router out of my craft room to downstairs on the other side of the house. And so my wireless was awful, but he just bought a signal extender this weekend. So now my wireless is awesome again. So I can watch podcasts easily instead of having them have to be reloaded every 15 minutes or so. So I was watching podcasts this week instead of ebooking, but I'm sure I'll catch up and then ebook a ton. I have new things. I have exciting new things. So I got 2 packages in the mail this week, and they're both extremely fabulous. The first is a package from Shelly, and she said that she would send me a prize if I pulled my own name for the Finish Your Frog craft along. And I did. On the very last draw, I pulled my name. And then, kind of karmic, I guess, I drew again because I wasn't going to gift myself a pattern. Then I drew Shelly's name. So that was kind of fun. But she sent me an amazing package. First, there is yarn from Spinning Fates. That's pretty true to color. The grayish color is a little more purple, but these are Spinning Fates Twisted Sisters on Tula, which is an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, in the Slytherin colorway. And I super love these yarns. I don't know what they're going to grow up to be. I know that they're going to sit in my stash for a little while I just stare at them lovingly. But I super, super love them. And they're 200 yards skeins. So 400 yards total. And she also sent Addie Turbo Sock Rocket needles, size 1, which is awesome because I've never used Addie's. And I've mentioned a couple times how I want to try them, but I never purchased them because they're more expensive at my yarn shop than Hiya-Hiya's, and I know I like Hiya-Hiya's. So now I get to try these. I might cast on my socks for me using them. We'll see. I'm not going to commit to that, but I'm thinking that that might be good. So yeah, how awesome is that? Thank you so much, Shelly. I'm super excited about that package. I love the yarn, and I'm excited for the needles. And then, if you've been watching for a while, you may have recalled that I mentioned once upon a time a hand spun swap that Jenna of 716 was hosting in the 716 knit group. And last weekend was package weekend. So I received mine from Trisha, and there are some things that are not in the package anymore. She sent not only things for me, but things for my small humans, which was brilliant because largish packages, like this size, are put into our mail is delivered to boxes down the street, and you have to have a key to open the box. And large packages are put into 2 large boxes next to individual mailboxes, and they put the key in the mailbox. So whenever my kids see that there's no key, we immediately have to go check the mail to see if it's a package for us. And if it is a package for any of us in the house, they immediately have to open it and see everything that's in it. So they got stuff in the package too. They got little heart-shaped suckers, and they each got a tube of M&M's minis. And then there were the glow-in-the-dark bracelets that like you pull out of the package and then you snap them to start the glowing. So those went over fabulously, and they loved them. And then goodies for me, I'm going to show you the hand spun last because it's so gorgeous. There is a little elephant notebook, which is so cute, and I think that I'm going to use it for my next podcast notebook. Even though I just started the one that I currently have, I think that's what I'm going to save this one for. You can see my very messy shelf of notebooks right there. So I'm going to clean that up. The problem is Mara touches things and doesn't put them back appropriately. you can't see my craft room in its entirety, but I mean, what you can see behind me is kind of a disaster, but the entire craft room is a super disaster because she wanted to play in my craft room all weekend. Every time I turned around, she was messing with something else, and I was like, please stop. Please, it's my craft room. Go play with all the things in your room. She didn't like break anything. She just likes to pull everything out and look at it and then put it back, but not the way I had it put back. The notebook thing has been a disaster for like a month and a half or something. But it's her fault, but it's my fault that it's not cleaned. But I am going to put this away, so that shelf will be cleaned. Anyway, totally distracted. She also sent me this little bag full of teas. There is Tazo Passion, Tazo Classic Chai, Yogi Egyptian Licorice, and Tazo Green Ginger. So that is exciting, and especially because it's snowing, so now I feel like it's tea season and I have to drink tea all the time. I like drinking tea, but especially when it's snowing out. Tea and hot chocolate. But we don't have the kind of hot chocolate I like. I like the dark chocolate or sea salt caramel hot chocolate, and we don't have any. But that's okay because I have tea. She also sent, this is not tea. This is an herbal blend. It's Tulsi, lemon verbena, milky oats, St. John's wort, and passion vine. It's from View Garden, and it's called Pick Me Up Tea 2. It smells really good. So I will probably be making that shortly. It says to steep for at least 20 minutes. So I will be making the water for this at the same time as I would make the water for something that's a little more instant gratification. Also included were 2 skeins of Peyton's Croy Socks FX in the Cascade colors, which I super love. And I made socks out of these last year, out of this colorway last year. The boyfriend socks. I think that was the pattern I made using this. So I will make another pair of socks of this soon-ish. I really love Peyton's Croy socks because it's very hard wearing. The colors are really nice. This one changes 1 ply at a time, changes color, so it's a gradual color change yarn, which I like. And now, before I show you the handspun, look at this pretty card. That was the card that was in with it. And now the handspun. She sent me 2 skeins. I feel so spoiled, and they're so different, but they're both so beautiful. This one is 100% Tussa Silk. It is the Vert colorway from Highland Handmaids. And it is a little bit heavier weight, kind of like a sport to DK weight. And it is soft, and look at that color. It's not beautiful against my skin, but it is such a pretty color. So I love that, and I don't know what I'm going to make with it, but I'm going to look at the the patterns that I listed, because you were supposed to list 5 patterns that you would like hand spun for, and I frankly don't remember what that was because signups were months ago, and I can't recall anything that happened more than like a week ago. So there was that one, and then there is this merino, let's see if it says where it's from, merino silk blend. Yeah, it doesn't have a tag to say where the fiber came from, but it's merino silk, and oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous. It's a blue-based gray with all of these little tiny flecks of color. There's purpley and reddish and yellow greens and all sorts of colors that I love. So it's kind of a muted version of bits of color. And this is like a fingering weight. So I don't even know. I'm going to look at my queue, and I'm probably going to cast this on very soon because I love both of them. I don't want it to be confused about, whatever. But these kinds of colors are making my heart sing right now. The grays and whatever. I think it's because winter is finally here and I'm like, yay, dark and dreary. Don't worry, in like a month, I'm going to be like, I just want all the bright colors because it's so dreary. But right now, like, I opened it and I saw the green one first and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so pretty. I love it. And then I saw this one and I was like, heart melt. I love it so, so much. So yeah, that's my handspun swap package. It's such a good package. I love it so, so much. So thank you. Thank you, Trisha. She watched some of my episodes. I haven't yet thanked her on Revelry because I was a slacker about internet on the weekend, but I'm going to. And if you see this, thank you so, so much. I love it. It's a fabulous package. That's all I have for you this week. So I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string, and I will see you next week. Bye.